Yeah, Lokapavani, it just didn't seem the same when you weren't here. Everybody's running around crazy cooking for Maharaj. You're like part of the team. It was a good team. I could see that.
Yeah, yeah. I hope he will come again and that we all can be together again there.
It just didn't seem the same. Everybody's running around crazy cooking for me. When is Maharaj coming again, Krishna Kun? Remember his dates?
November 29th.
November 29th.
But
we are going to India.
Oh, really?
Yes,
when are you going
to Govardhan for Holy Name Retreat and Govardhan Retreat.
Sure. We're supposed to, on the 29th of November, we're supposed to be at a wedding in Govardhan if we make it to India.
I hope you will.
Retreat. So we may see you then.
That would be great.
So let's go ahead and start. I'm sorry we missed our last session. So it's been really crazy for me sometimes when we travel. And, oh boy, the program. Let me just say a little something. The program in Ukraine. It's just so good. You just want to cry. I really don't know what else to say about it. It's just really, really wonderful. So many very sweet, simple devotees. And really that's I'm learning something more and more as I associate with different groups. Different devotees that they're giving their life for making communities. And sometimes the communities are dysfunctional, sometimes they're immature, they're whatever, but they're communities. And there's oftentimes the best devotees can do, and it's what devotees want. That's why they're part of that. So sometimes devotees, when they see that they may not be so, have the same mood as another community, or they may be more mature or less mature, they don't relate to it. But we should just see this as different communities, and we should make our community. Okay, so let's see here. Let's recite this prayer to Narottam Das Thakur. Shri Krishna Nama Amrita Varshi Vaktra Chandra Prabhadvashta Tamo Bharaya Gauranga Devanu Charaya Tasmai Namo Nama Shinarottamaya. Again and again, I offer my obeisances unto Srila Narottam Das Thakur. He's a true follower of Lord Gauranga Dev, nectarian shower of the holy name of Krishna, radiating from the moon of his mouth, destroys the darkness of ignorance. What has been changing a little bit out here? Maybe I've got some little thing or something. So we're continuing with Prema-bhakti-candrika. Today we've come to the last verse in this song. Just to look back and remember a little bit from our last song, last stanza that we sung. Let's see if I can put this on the board. This whole song, Narottam Das Thakur, is speaking about humility and the importance of that. Thank you, really appreciate it. Oops. Musama Patita Nai Tribhuvani, Eki Chai, that there's nobody as fallen as myself in all the three worlds. Narottama Pavana Namadara. So, my dear Lord, you should be known as the person who delivered Narottam Das Thakur. Gushuka Samsari Nam Patita Pavana Sham. That you're the deliverer of all the fallen souls. And therefore his need says, Nija Dasa Koto. Koto means to make. It's not please, but you force me. Make me into your servant, O Giridhari. And we spoke in our last session about what was a necessity of Narottam Das Thakur using the word Giridhar, because it indicates many things. It indicates the service of Giridhari. It evokes in us the remembrance of Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill and protecting all the Brajbasis. And it evokes in us the understanding of pride. And we spoke a little something from the Govardhan Vasa Partana Dasakam, Nijapati Bhuja Dandach Chapcham Bhavam Prapadya, how Giriraj is the Lord Giriraj is a servant of Krishna. Krishna is his Lord. And his particular purpose was to smash the three aspects of pride of Indra, Mada, Drishta, and Udanda. And we spoke something also from the Mahabharata, 18 different gradual effects of pride. So now we've come to the end of this song, and I would like to just look over the entire song with all of you. Since we've come to the end of it, we should have some song. So in the beginning of this song, which is about self-surrender, Atma-nivedana, he addresses the Lord that Tumita Doya Rasinda, you're the ocean of mercy, you're the savior of the fallen, Adama Janada Bandha Mori Prabhu Kori Avadan. Please give me your merciful glance, because I'm in this very difficult situation. So he's indicating in this chapter, Atma-nivedana, what is self-surrender. Self-surrender means when we, as we spoke in some of our last sessions, when we accept reality, the bitter reality of our fallen position. Padina asat bolit kamatilin gili enata. That, my dear Lord, in this ocean of material existence, I'm being eaten alive by these great Timangila fishes. Timangila is a fish which eats whales. And I'm being destroyed. So please, please protect me. This calling out is the essence of Saranagati. Javat janamamor aparade hoinubhor nishkapate nabajina toma. So, my dear Lord, I can't say that I've done anything good. And we spoke from some verses from Srila Sanatana Goswami that no prema shavanati bhakti-rapi nava yogo tava vaishnavo. I have no prema, I have no bhakti, I have no practice of yoga, I can't control my mind, I don't know shastra, I have no good birth, I have no sukriti, I don't have anything. All that I have is this great hope. So this is the essence of Saranagati, that I have no other course, no other place I can turn to. So Javat Janama more. Since my birth, Aparado Hoinu Bor, I have committed terrible offenses. Nishkapati na bhajino toma. And if you say, well, he's doing bhajan, I've not done real bhajan. I remember years ago being present in a class in the Delhi temple before they moved into the new temple, and the Isha Kailash temple. And someone finished the class, it was a younger devotee, and someone asked a question. What the topic was about Vaishnava Aparad, and does that apply to us? We're doing Tulsi Puja and we're chanting Hare Krishna. And the speaker kind of paused for a moment, thought, and he said, no, it doesn't apply to us. But here Narottam Das Thakur would beg to differ. And he's saying, because I've not done Niskapatya Bhajan. My bhajan's always been Sakapatya Bhajan, with cheating, with falseness, because I'm committing offenses to different Vaishnavas. So, but still, in spite of that, I'm not going to stop. When Narottam Das Thakur says, Tatapi, in spite of that, Tatapi hatumi gati, still, you're my goal. Even if I'm committing all types of offenses and I'm such a fallen person, I'm not going to use that as an excuse. Sometimes the mind uses it as an excuse. I'm just so fallen. That's who I am. So I can't follow anything. So I'll just stop practicing bhakti and I'll go away. And then I'll be in a comfortable situation with a lot of other people who don't push me to do bhajan either subtly or grossly. But he's saying, no, Tatapiha Tumi Gati, you're always the Lord of my life. Na Chadiha Pranapati. You're the only shelter that I have. You're my Pranapati, you're my life, you're the Lord of my life. And you should know Mui Sama, Nahika Adam. There's no one as fallen as myself. Patita Pavana Nama Goshana Tomada Sham. And that, my dear Lord, you're the deliverer of the fallen souls. And Upakili Nahi Moragati. He says that if you don't give mercy to me, then I have no other hope, because you're the only gati, the only goal that I have. Jari hoy aparadi. In spite of the fact that I'm committing all types of offenses. Tapta pihat, in spite of tumi gati, still you're my goal. Such a jana sata. You're the only hope that I have, just like a good husband is the only hope for a chaste wife. Maybe that's not politically correct today, but that's what Das Taco says. Tumita Paramadeva. Oh my Lord, you're my Paramadeva. You're the only, the Supreme Lord for me. Nahi more upekeva. You please don't reject me. Don't neglect me. Suna pranera ishvara. Please hear what I'm saying. Please hear my bhajan. Jari karon aparada. He says, even if I do, Jari means if, Jari karon aparada, even if I do commit some offenses, tatapiya tumi nata, still you should consider me your insignificant servant. De seva dia karu anuchar, and give me that service as your maid servant. Kami mora hatta chitta. And we spoke in our previous session too, a few previous sessions back, that I think it was our last session. The word hatta means to kill. That this lust is killing my heart. Nahi jani nija hita. That I don't even know. Nahi jani nija hita. We were speaking about this in the last session, I believe. That I don't even know what's good for me or what's bad for me. I can't stop the durbasana or the wicked desires in my heart, my mind. Moranata angi kuru. He says, it's still, my dear Lord, Moranata, you're my everything, angi kuru. You please accept me. Tumi bancha kalpataru, because you're a wish fulfilling tree. Karuna dekuka sarvajan. And then everybody will see how merciful you are that you delivered this fallen Madhavananda, fallen Narottam Das Thakur. Mosama patita nai. You won't find anybody as fallen as myself. Tribhuvani deki chai, in all the three worlds. If you look, you can't find anybody. Narottama Pavana Namadar. So you should be known as a deliverer of Narottam Das Thakur. Gushaka Samsari Nam Patita Pavana Shami Jadasa Koro Giridar. This is what we spoke about in our last session. We'll go over that again. So today's session is Narottam Das Thakur is praying for constant bhajan. This is the conclusion of this song. He says, he gives a line which he gives in a number of different songs. Narottama Boro Duki. He plays another song. Narottama Boro Duki. Nitai Mori Koro Suki. I'm very, very unhappy. Boro Duki. I'm not just Duki, but I'm Boro Duki. I'm fried. Nitai Mori Koro Suki. My dear Nichananda, you're very, very happy. Here he's singing Nata Mori Koro Suki. That, my dear Lord, I'm so very, very unhappy. So, Nata, you're my Lord, Mori Korosuki, you should make me happy. And how can I become happy? Tomara Bhajana Sankirtana. And this is a very deep phrase we want to focus on today. Tomara Bhajana Sankirtana. It's your bhajan. This path of bhajan, which is your bhajan, doing bhajan to you, for your pleasure. Sankirtane. What is the meaning of the Sankirtan? He's saying you make me happy by doing this Sankirtan. But I have this paramapai. I have this greatest fear. Here they translate it as great fear, but it's the greatest fear, the last limit of fear. Antaraya nahi jai. That I won't be able to overcome the obstacles in my non-bhajan. And therefore, nibedan koro anukshanam. Nibedan means that I'm making some submission. I'm coming, I'm praying to you. And how often am I doing that? Anukshan, constantly. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he gives very short commentaries in Prema-bhakti-candrika in Sanskrit. And for this, he's just given a couple words. He explains the meaning of the word antaraya, obstacles. He says, antaraya kamari krita vigna, that it means impediments in the path of bhakti that in the form of deep absorption, lust, kama, adi, lust, etc., in the form of deep absorption in bodily activities, krita vigna, that those things will be krita vigna, those things can be destroyed. This is my great anxiety. How will this go on? This is like the number one question I hear. Radhanath Maharaj, once I asked him to give a talk for the IYF devotees in Bhubaneswar, and they were really excited for that. And Maharaj asked, so what should I speak about? And he kind of said, well, whatever you'd like. And he said, well, I'll speak something about Gaur Govinda Maharaj and his mood. And he spoke about crying for the Lord. And it was a very, very deep talk. And afterwards, there were questions. All the questions from these young devotees, God bless them, were, Maharaj, how can I conquer lust? How can I associate in school with all these young girls? It really disturbs my mind. And this and this. And nobody really, nothing was really positive. It struck me rather everything was focused on their problem with their sense enjoyment, problem with how am I going to be able to control my senses. So Nathan Das Thakur is saying this here, that antaraya nahi jai eta padamapaya. I have this great fear that because of my external attachments, antaraya, these external things, nahi jai, I won't, nahi jai, jai means to be victorious. I won't be victorious. I have this great fear. Therefore, nibidana karam anukshana. I'm praying you constantly. How am I praying? Tomara bhajana sankirtana. This is a very, very big topic. This is something you could speak about for 1,000 years. These three words, tomara bhajana sankirtana, and never come to a proper conclusion. It has so much unlimited meaning. We're just going to gloss over a little bit, and because all of you have heard so much about the importance of Sankirtan, and also Tomara Bhajan, doing bhajan for your pleasure. We spoke quite a bit about this. So this last verse is speaking about worship in the Lord through the chanting of the holy name. And in his conclusion of the song, which expresses humility and desperation, which is the essence of Saranagati. In the conclusion of the song, he's praying for bhajan. Bhajan, sometimes devotees think that bhajan means you sit down with a harmonium and kartals, mridanga. But bhajan comes from the root word bhaj. It means to worship. And someone may be doing deity worship, someone may be cooking for the Lord, someone may be cleaning, they may be giving donations, they may be doing so many. But here in particular, he's praying for bhajan in the form of Sankirtan. And what does that mean? It's very, very important. He's expressing that he's very, very unhappy. The word nata is significant. Nata means Lord, but it also means the savior, the protector. So Narottama is praying, Narottama Bodho Duki. I'm so very unhappy. I'm not just unhappy, not just Narottama Duki, but Narottama Bodho Duki. I'm really, really frightened. I'm so unhappy. Not there. Oh, my protector, my savior, this my Lord. Morokoro Suki, you protect me from this suffering. Make me happy by maintaining me Tomara Bhajana Sankirtani, by maintaining me through your Sankirtan. So perhaps Krishna's asking here that Naratama Bodho Duki Nate Morokoro Suki. So what will make you happy then? You have some desire to be happy. You're really fried, and you're coming to me. You want to be happy. So what will make you happy? And Narottam Das Thakur to teach us what it means to have real intelligence, what it means as a conclusion for this song about Saranagati, what it means to really surrender in this age of Kali. His answer is that Tomara Bhajane Bhajana Sankirtane, that you're worshiping you through Sankirtan. This will make me really happy. So you give me the good fortune of this Sankirtan. Now, what does that mean? Why doesn't he say Tomara Bhajana Kirtane? Every word, every syllable has some purport. By saying, he could have said Tomar Bhajana Kirtane, but let me do your kirtan, let me sing your glories and give me happiness. But by saying Sankirtane, he's indicating Samyak Kirtan, which has several different meanings according to Jiva Goswami in Bhakti-candrika. We'll come to that later on from the purport of Srila Prabhupada. Sankirtan means Samyak Kirtan, complete Kirtan. And Jiva Goswami explains it as complete in two ways. One, that I'm chanting with other devotees. So a primary meaning here is that Narottam Das Thakur is saying that I'm going to do kirtan with other persons. That's going to make me happy. Well, it's going to make me happy if those persons are happy, which brings us to our second meaning of Sankirtan. Samyak Kirtan means Prema Kirtan. It means that doing kirtan with love. It means I'm doing kirtan with very advanced devotees. So this is the essence of this song about Saranagati, that the Saranagati is evoked when we accept the poison of our position. Another song Narottam sings it, that Vishaya Garalamaya Tate Mano Sukachaya Se Sukha Dukkha Korima. My dear mind, he says, you think that sense enjoyment is great happiness, but you should understand that sense enjoyment is actually misery. Gautama Rishi is one of the great philosophers in Siddharshan, in Vedic philosophy. And according to him, when someone is able to surpass misery, they get liberation. And in his philosophy, there's 21 different types of misery. He's really spells out what is misery. Your body. That's the first abode of misery. You have bad air. You have bad breath. Your feet smell bad and you have headaches. Your body is the first source of misery, first kind of misery. Then the six senses are also different types of misery, because they're always wanting things and they're never satisfied. And then the six sense objects, he says, are the next aspects of misery. When you get those things that you desire, you find there's only pain in them. And then the six kinds of intelligence, bad intelligence, material intelligence, those also cause all kinds of, those 19 factors, that they're misery, they're the abodes of misery. And then he says there's happiness that cultivates in misery. That's number 20, and misery itself. So that's 21 types of misery. So he says that material happiness is actually misery. And then there's a beautiful song. We came across it in Vaishnav Padavali by an unknown Vaishnav. I want to share this with you. I highlighted a little bit today. So it's a really great song. It'll make you very depressed. Sukha na kaibu e sukha nai kabu e samsari sukha achi mayara opare. You should know sukha nai kabu e samsari. There's no happiness in the material world. Real happiness means something which is beyond Maya. Sukha boli tumi deko jare. Now, whatever you're thinking, whatever you see as being happiness, sukha, whatever you're speaking, sukha boli, whatever you're speaking about as happiness in this world, you should know actually the real nature, seto maya, dukkha dibharatari. It's really meant to give you misery. We think, oh, this beautiful woman, this handsome man, this is the source of my happiness. Or this child, having this material relationship, having this money, having this car, having this kind of food. But all of those things in the material world just bring us unlimited misery when we're trying to use them for ourselves. Ache sukara akara dhari. So that happiness, that sukh, akaradhari, it's assumed, this misery is assumed the form of happiness. And the purpose is sarvatma giribara tari, to eat you alive. Because you think it's happiness. If you don't think it's happiness, then you're not going to be troubled by it. If you see, if a young lady sees a young man on the street and he says, I don't care about you, I don't like you. He says, okay, fine. What's it to me? I don't care. But if that man had previously proposed to her and they were married, what is the difference? It's just a piece of paper, and it's a difference in the mind. Now, this is my husband. I have this focused thing. And that person says the same thing, then, we get so much distress, so much anxiety and misery from that. But it's the same thing as meeting that person we don't know on the street. What is the difference? The difference is in our mind. The difference is in that we're seeing this person as a source of my happiness. Just like someone sees a snake, a poisonous snake, and they think it's a flower garland, and they pick it up to put it on. It's a poisonous snake, and that poisonous snake bites them. Then tada bishashab angejari, keba bhanche bitari. Your whole body then will burn from that poison. We thought it was a nice flower garland that I would wear for some happiness, but it's actually a poisonous snake. Sadhu danvantari dari. Therefore, anyone who wants to have happiness should take shelter of the Sadhu Vaidya. He uses the word Dhanvantari. Dhanvantari means a doctor, it's a supreme doctor. In other words, the Sadhu is a supreme doctor. And Dari, this is my shelter. Akapate ashraya kore. So if I take shelter of that person, ashraya, then akapate, inside and outside, that person is going to give me shelter. So that's our purpose. We have to see what is real happiness, what is illusion. And because we're attached to all this misidentification, therefore naratama bodho dukkhi. We're suffering like anything, really, really suffering. But that suffering is a gem. Ironically, without that suffering, if there was no suffering in this material world, no recognition of suffering, no bodho dukkhi, maybe there's dukh, but there was no bodho dukkha. But it's that bodho dukkha that is a kind of touchstone. Touchstone is something which you can touch iron to and get gold. You can get so many things from that thing. That misery is our touchstone of this life. It can give us everything, because when we constantly experience that suffering, then it inspires us to reach out to the Lord. Nate mora kora sukhi. Please give me happiness. How? Tomara bhajana sankirtane. Through doing Sankirtan. In other words, through associating with your devotees, with your advanced devotees, and doing kirtan with them. There's a beautiful talk from Srila Bhakti-siddhanta that I'd like to share with you. We're going to do a lot of reading today, and also maybe hear a little bit of a recording too, which I think you may like. This is from something we printed in the Bindu in issue 108 from Srila Bhakti-siddhanta. Jai Gaur, can you see this? Would you like to read? It's painful.
Yes, Ru. It is painful to see people wasting their valuable time in no better work than mischievous, ill-conceived criticisms of others' conduct. They excel only in giving advice to others. Their damned mind is, no doubt, responsible for this. So every morning, on rising from bed, they should make their wicked mind hear the following immortal song of Thakur Bhaktivinoda.
We'll come to that in a moment. Let me just make some little comments. So some people, he says, it's so painful. They waste their valuable time because they don't see any better thing to do than mischievous, ill-conceived criticism of others' conduct. It's mischievous, it's ill-conceived. It's mischievous because you're causing trouble to others. It's ill-conceived because you don't really know their mind and heart. You're criticizing them. And the only thing they're good at is giving advice to others. And their damn mind is no doubt responsible. So every day, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati says we should get up and we should sing this song. Bhajare, Bhajare, Amar Mana Ati Manda. And let's just see what he says about this song. We'll come back to the song. Jagar, why don't you read the paragraph after in this song, The Mind is Asked.
Sure. In this song, the mind is asked, first of all, to hold bhajan of Radha Krishna in their joyful activity in the sacred woodland of Vraja. In comparative view, the degrees of excellence of the five rasas, from Madhurya, consorthood, to Shanta, the state in which active service is wanting, are gradually lowering. A servitor in the last mentioned position, Shanta rasa, is neither actively engaged in bhajan nor against it. He will neither oppose bhajan nor actively hold it.
Okay, now I want to, let's see how I'm going to do this. This is a little complicated. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to paste the words to this song, the lyrics, in our chat here. This is from Gitabali of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And I'm going to paste this. This software is not so good. I can't paste so much all at one time, that much. And now I'm going to play to you a little bit of a recording. This is my grandmother singing this song.
This is a nice song also written by Bhakti-Vinod. Yes, Samanta Goswami, Mahadan. My mind, Manati Manda, my mind is very bad mind. Evil mind. Yes. Stupid mind. The only means is bhajan. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. Bhajan bina gati nai. No other means is there. No other means is there. Only means is bhajan. Huh? Understand? Bhajan, bhajan. Bhaja, what bhajan you do? Bhaja Braja Bani Radha Krishna Sarana-Aravinda. You understand? Radha Krishna Sarana-Aravinda. Do this bhajan of the lotus feet of Radha Krishna in Brajabhumi. This is the subject matter of bhajan. Understand? Yes. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Jnana karma parihari re. Give up all other desires. Anya vidasa sunyam jnana karma pari anavrutam anukullena krishna anusudanam bhakti ruttama. Rupa Goswami said that. Anya vidasa sunyam jnana karma adi anavrutam. Give up the desire for material enjoyment, desire for material liberation. You understand? Anukullena Krishna serve Krishna favorably. Render loving service to Krishna and give up pleasure to Krishna. That is Anukullena Krishna. Engage yourself in such loving service to Krishna. No other desire.
I'll stop there. So this is the same point Bhakti Vinod is making in this song that Narottam Das Thakur is making. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, in this lecture, he says that when we speak about bhajan or bhakti, we can be speaking about two different types. So Narottam Das Thakur, he was speaking about how I'm doing bhajan, but it's sakapata bhajan. So Tomara bhajan is Sankirtana. I want to do your bhajan, which is Sankirtan. It's complete bhajan, complete bhakti. And there's such a thing. Let me go ahead and read something to you here. Again, we put this in Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. This is really, really good. Leela Purushottam, do you like to read now bhajan or bhakti?
Yes, yes. Now, bhajan or bhakti may be of different kinds. There is such a thing as micha bhakti, false bhakti, as opposed to shuddha bhakti, unalloyed bhakti. The adherents of karma, who are followers of smriti, take recourse to the former. In Prema-bhakti-candrika 618, Thakur Narottam Das warns us against such false bhakti by saying, Karmi jnani micha bhakta, nahabe tate anurakta, shuddha bhajanete koramon. Don't absorb your thoughts in the fruitive worker, the philosopher, or the hypocritical devotee. Fix your mind in pure bhajan. The cult of the so-called social reformers or society makers of the past or present age is quite different from the ideas and principles of bhaktas. The followers of the former are engaged at present in various movements relating to personal advantages and self-enjoyment.
So we often speak about this particular line. In fact, I have a poster of this stanza from Narottam Das Thakur in front of me on the board. He's saying it, Karmi Gyani Micha Bhakta Nahabi Tate Anurata. Such important instructions. Don't be attached to the Karmis, Gyanis, false devotees. Rather, you should do Sudha Bhajan, pure Bhajan. In other words, if you're attached to those people, then you're not doing pure Bhajan. Right? And then he says, Braja Janara Jay Mata. We should understand what is the mata, what is the conclusion, what is the mood, the opinion of the Brajajanas, the devotees of Braj. Tabi, Tahi Habi Anugatan. We should follow that. And Narottam says, Ese Paramatat Vadan. This is the supreme jewel, the supreme wealth of tattva. To understand this thing is such a very, very important thing. And so, what he's saying here, the so-called social reformers of the past or the present, is very different from the ideals and principles of the devotees. It looks the same in some ways. And we latch on to when Srila Prabhupada chastised someone, or in one kirtan, someone grabbed one of the ladies on the stage and Prabhupada picked up a kartal and went to cut that guy's head off like it was a Sudarshan chakra or something. And we say, yes, this is the mood. But that's an exception. And that's also the behavior of a great Mahajan, Srila Prabhupada. We can't imitate that. Why don't you go ahead, Lila Purushottam, those agitators.
Those agitators who, leaving aside all considerations of bhakti, are busily engaged in movements for temporal advantages, only are doing harm to themselves. And
so these people, they're agitating and making all these, but they're leaving aside the considerations of bhakti. They're making some agitation, but they're not considering that bhakti is a solution. So many devotees are upset and disturbed the way things are going. My Guru Maharaj was not happy all the time. Prabhupada wasn't always happy. But what is the solution? Krishna Bhakti Koili Karma Sarva Karma Prita Hoy. Chaitanya Chaitamrita states very, 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 very simply that just do bhakti, and bhakti will solve all the different problems. So if you leave aside that consideration for bhakti, and you're just doing some engaged in movements for temporal advantages, for some bodily advantage, some temporary advantage, all that you're doing is harm to yourself. You see the COVID thing going on, you see the war in Israel, you see the war in Ukraine, you see how there's so much cheating in America, you see how much cheating in ISKCON sometimes, or this or that. And we become absorbed in that, and trying to correct that as a solution, and we leave aside the considerations of bhakti. How in the world are they ever going to have peace in the Middle East between the Palestinians and the Israelis without bhakti? Unless the people there change their consciousness, how is it ever going to be possible? Unless they understand, I'm not this body, and I have to be forgiving, we have to be loving, unless they change their consciousness. But everybody in this world, we're so busy with so many movements for temporal advantages, which only do harm to ourselves. Lila Purushottam, go ahead. And their failure.
To serve Krishna, who is the emporium, or rather effigy, of all endless, immeasurable nectar of love, joys, and pleasures, bespeaks simply of their ignorance of the real state of affairs. Such distance of service to Krishna gradually turns a man into an upholder of Nirvisheshvada, the doctrine of the unspecifiedness of the absolute truth.
How is that? What does it mean? Because we gradually give up respect to devotees. We give up respect to other persons, and we just become absorbed in ourselves. That's Nirvisheshvada. Go ahead.
What can be more deplorable than such misfortune of mankind? To counteract the aforesaid tendencies in us, we should sing. We should sing, yeah. We should sing every morning, advising our wicked mind to hold bhajan, which is impossible if we are unmindful of the dictum. Trinat apishni chena tarorivasa hishnana amanina manadena kirtanya sadahari. Which means that Hari Kirtan should be continued ceaselessly and with the humility of low grass. What is the object of our bhajan? It is only the holy feet of Radha Krishna, roaming about freely in the woodland of Vraja. And what should be our line of conduct in holding bhajan? Mahaprabhu's advice to Srila Das Goswami. CC Antya 6. 236 to 237 in this connection is as follows.
Pavani, would you like to read some? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm giving you a bunch of Bengali. But, you can show up.
Yes, but I'm not good at reading them.
Okay, I'll read the Bengali, you read the English. Gramya kata na shenibe gramya varta na kohibe bala na kailibe arabhala na paribe mani manada hana Krishna nama sadalabe Raja Radha Krishna Seva Manase Koribe. He's given kind of a poetic translation.
Have no worldly talk, nor pay heed to it. Wear no good clothes, nor rich food eat. Have Krishna Nam always, humbly, on your tongue. Serve Radha Krishna in the closet of the mind. In the aforesaid verse, the first two advices are in the negative, and the remaining two are in the affirmative. By Vraja Seva, Mahaprabhu meant service to Krishna by one who has a transcendental body and whose self-realization is complete. People ignorant of this generally turn into mental speculators and cannot rightly understand the teachings of the Gaudiya Math. From an evening lecture at the Calcutta Gaudiya Math, 12th of July, 1936.
So he says, Gramya kata no shunibe. Don't hear the gram. Gram means a village talk. They're talking about this person and that person. In America, they have laundromats where people come together and they have machines to wash clothes. And all the ladies, they just talk all day long. That's a place of Gramya kata. In India, you see that they do that around the wells or wherever they're washing clothes. Gramya kata na shinbe. Don't hear that talk. Gramya varta na kahibe. Don't hear it. Don't engage in it. Bala na kaibe. Don't try to eat nice things. Bala na kaibe. Don't try to dress in a nice way, in an opulent kind of way. Amani and manada. We should give respect to everybody always, and in that way we'll always be able to chant the holy name. And he says, Braja Radha Krishna Seva Manase Koribe. And she translates, serve Radha Krishna in the closet of the mind. In other words, we should go and hide in the closet of our mind when we do our worship. We don't advertise that to everyone. So this is what Narottam Das Thakur is saying in this song, that we should, my dear Lord, I'm suffering so much in this material world. Narottama Boroduki, Nate Mora Koda Suki, Tomara Bhajani Sankirtan. So please make me happy by giving me this Sankirtan. So this is the conclusion of his discussion about what is Saranagati. Saranagati, as we were saying in some of our previous talks, means to own our suffering, to own what we're going through. And then in another lecture, let's see, it's the same day. This is the same day. a little bit later at this same lecture, he sings from this line we were just looking at. And he says, Karmigani Micha Bhakta Nahobitate Anurakta. Sudha Bhajaneti Koroman, Braja Janaraji Mata Tahi Habi Anugatis Ase Paramatattvadan. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta found this to be such an important stanza from Narottam Das Thakur. In Lokapavani, why don't you read the translation after it?
Okay. Be not attached to karmis, jnanis, and bhaktas false. Pure unalloyed bhajan do always endorse. Follow principles that Braja folk adopt, value truths to be kept aloft. The mind is always working erroneously in looking upon this thing or that as either good or bad. Okay, so Shri people are usually...
Yeah, I think it means such people. Thank you.
Sorry. Such people are usually overly busy in mental speculation. They should relieve themselves of this and try to ascertain their actual benefit. There is an
adage. There's a saying, Parachacha keda gati nahi kona kale.
A man habituated to criticize others' conduct will never prosper. Let others do whatever they like. I have no concern with them. I should find fault with my own damned mind and think like the Vaishnava Mahajana who sang.
So what is that song? Amara Jivana. It's such a wonderful song. Prabhupada liked this song so much. This is a song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Amara Jivana, Sadapape Rata, Nahika Punya Relation, Parasuka Duki Sada Mityabasi, Paraduka Sukha Karo. Go ahead.
Ever acting viciously, not a trace of virtue in me. Sorry at others' pleasures, always speaking falsities, and merry at others' sorrows and adversities. From Sharanagati. We should always remember this song and engage our mind ceaselessly in Hari Bhajan. We should not run about attacking others with a dissuading policy. Such conduct behooves only deceitful persons, not preachers.
So you're not preaching. It's something of deceit. We should always understand this, but because we have this mode of passion or mode of ignorance in us, and we're mixed devotees, and therefore we see as solutions money things or management things or revolution things, but it's not a solution. The only solution, Bhaktisiddhanta is quoting from this verse, is that we have to engage our minds ceaselessly in Hari Bhajan, which is exactly what Narottam Das Thakur is speaking about in this song, this last stanza that we have today. This on the board again. He says, Natama Bodha Duki, I'm very, very unhappy. Nati Mori Kodasuki, please, my Lord, you're my maintainer, you're my Nata, make me happy. Tomara Bhajana Sankirtana, by doing your Sankirtan, by associating with your devotees, because Sankirtan means associating with devotees. But what devotees? More advanced devotees, or devotees who are either Premi Bhaktas or following in the line of Prema Bhakti. Antaraya Nahi Jai. But I have this fear that all these external things are going to stop me. Etat Paramabai, this is my greatest fear. Therefore, Nibidana Karan Anukshana. I'm praying to you constantly. I'm constantly praying. In the same lecture, I'll give everybody, if you'd like, a link to this song my grandma was singing. It goes for 30 minutes, and he speaks in such a beautiful and very, very heavy way about suffering in this world. We misunderstand the purpose of this suffering, but if we look in our lives, the times we've suffered the most, things we just felt were just intolerable, Narottama Bodha Duki, that it gave us impetus to cry out to Krishna. My Guru Maharaj, therefore, in the same talk, he speaks a lot about the kick of Lord Nityananda and the necessity of that kick. What does that kick mean? That kick of Lord Nityananda is like devastation. When you're kicked by the Lord, it's like, oh my God, everything is terrible. Lord Nityananda he kicked, who was it, Krishna Kund, on his name's not slipping my mind. We visited his place in West Bengal too. We brought all the devotees every year for Purkama to brought them every year to Puri.
Shivananda Singh.
Shivananda Singh, thank you very much. So he kicked Shivananda Singh that where's our meal arrangements? You didn't make this properly. And then he says, let your son die. That's devastation, especially for the wife of Shivananda Singh. But that kick of Lord Nityananda, it wakes us up, because then we see that the things which we saw as shelter, the things that we saw as happiness in this world, like we were singing from that song previously, they're nothing. Actually, all they really are things which are meant to bring me unlimited suffering. They're not bringing me happiness and peace whatsoever. They're just bringing me unlimited suffering. So I need to wake up. I need to see that. But we can't see that unless we have that kick of Lord Nityananda. Let's look again a little bit at that song. Really, really beautiful song by Anand Vaishnava. Sukha na kabu e samsari. There's no happiness in this material world. Real happiness is beyond Maya. If you're having some illusory conception, some illusory attachment, that's not real happiness. And you should understand that whatever you see as happiness in this world, it's really, the purpose of it really is to give you unlimited misery. Just like a young girl, she cries and cries, oh, my husband doesn't love me, my husband said something bad, my boyfriend cheated on me, did this and that. But what is that? If you see the same person on the street and so he walks up to you and you don't know him, he says, I don't care for you. I think you're fat. I think you're ugly, or whatever it is that hurts her heart. You should just say, go away, you creep, leave me alone. It doesn't bother her. But the source of the suffering is our expectation. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says in one purport that it's this false expectations which give us this misery, because we identify with that person. If we didn't identify with them as being a source of our happiness, then there wouldn't be any misery. And that Maya, that so-called happiness, it's just this misery which has assumed the form of happiness, and its real purpose is to devour you. Just like someone takes a garland thinking that a snake, just like they think it's a flower garland, and they put it on and they get bitten by this terrible snake. And therefore the solution, which is what Narottam's singing in this song, is that we have to take shelter of a sadhu. And how do we take shelter of a sadhu? Tate Krishna Bhaji Kore Guru Seva. It means that we do Krishna Bhajan. It doesn't mean anything else. It's not just that I do book distribution even, or I study the books, or I collect donations, or I do management. All those things are very good things. But we do all of those things understanding that the real purpose is Krishna Bhajan, is to chant the holy name. I wanted to share a purport from Srila Prabhupada in this regard. Oh, here it is right here. This is really beautiful. And we'll finish with this verse and purport. Actually, I'll go up a little bit. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita Ancha Lila, chapter 4. Mahaprabhu was instructing Sanatana Swami, Bhajanera Madhya Shrestha Nava Vedi Bhakti, Krishna Prema, Krishna Diti Taring, Dari Mahashakti. That amongst all the different Navavedi Bhakti, all the different types of devotional service, there's 9 which are the best because they give Krishna Prema. Prabhupada describes those 9 types in his purport: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, etc. Hearing, chanting, remembering Krishna. And then the next verse says, Taramadi Saiva Shrestha Nama Sankirtana. Of all these 9 processes, the most important Saiva Shrestha is Nam Sankirtan, chanting the holy name. And if someone does this, Niraparadi Nam Loy, if he does this, avoiding the 10 kinds of offenses, and Pai Prema Dana, one very easily obtains the most valuable love of God. And Prabhupada gives a long Sanskrit phrase, very mysterious, from Jiva Goswami's Bhakti Sandarbha. Iyam cha Kirtanakya Bhakti. It speaks about Jiva Goswami's, he says, this is Kirtanakya Bhakti. Kirtanakya Bhakti Bhagavato Dravya Jati Guna Priyabhir Dina Janaika Vishayapara Karuna Maiti Shruti Praranadi Vishruti. Prabhupada translates, he says, chanting the holy name is the chief means of attaining love of God. Iyam cha Kirtanakya Bhakti Bhagavato Dravya Jata Guna Priyadri Dina. And he says that this chanting, it doesn't depend, Dravya Jati Guna, it doesn't depend on any paraphernalia or Jati having taken some good birth in a nice family. He says, Dina Janaika Vishayapara Karunamaititi, that by humility and meekness, and again, this is Narottam Das Thakur, he's teaching us what is Saranagati, and he's finishing by saying, Narottama Boroduki, Nate More Korosuki, that my dear Lord, my Nata, you're my maintainer, my everything, I'm very, very unhappy. I'm not just unhappy, I'm completely fried. This is the kick of Lord Nityananda. And then this Dina Janaika, Vishaya Para Karunamai, then they have some humility, which attracts the mercy of Krishna. Shruti Puranadi Vishruti. This is the verdict of all the Vedas. Therefore, Atta Eva Kalo, that in this age of Kali, Atta Eva Kalo, Sabhavita Evati Dini Shilukishu, Avibhuyatan. If you want to get the lotus feet of Krishna in this age of Kali, we have to develop this humility. This is such an important thing. Narottam Das Thakur is speaking on this. And he says, Tad Yuga Gata Maha Sadhananam. This is the great sadhana in Kali Yuga. That's the fulfillment of all different sacrifices, austerities, and everything. Because when one achieves ecstatic love of God, then you get the perfection of life. Therefore, whatever one does in executing devotional service must be accompanied by the chanting of the holy name. So this is what Jiva Goswami calls Kirtanakya Bhakti. That, and this is coming from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's commentary. It says Bhakti Sandarbha 270. Iyam cha Kirtanakya Bhakti. That you may do the different Navavidi Bhakti. Let's go back up. What is Navavidi Bhakti? Shavanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smarnam Padasevanam Archanam Bandhanam Dashim Kimatma Nivedam. You may be doing kirtan, you may be remembering the Lord, you may be serving the lotus feet of the Lord, you may be doing archana, taking care of the deities, you may be doing vandana, offering prayers, you may serve the Lord, you may become friends with the Lord, you may surrender everything. But all of those things, amongst all of them, the primary thing is Nam Sankirtan. And therefore Jiva Goswami calls it Kirtanakya Bhakti, that you may be doing these different other types of bhakti, but in the age of Kali, they must be accompanied by kirtan. So we were saying that a minute ago, that you might be a manager, you might be saying that oh, we have to solve this problem like this or that. That's okay. But if you're not accompanying that with kirtan, there should be some revolution. There should be some chastisement of a brahmachari who doesn't get up in the morning for a week and doesn't come to Mangalarti. There should be some chastisement, but that always should be accompanied with the holy name. The holy name, therefore, should be the motivation. When we go and we chastise that devotee, we speak some correction with him, or whatever it is we're doing. We're collecting money to build a temple. We're doing management for the temple. We're going to a GBC meeting. But all of that we do is Kirtanakya Bhakti. We're doing it for the purpose of kirtan. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada used to say, we like to quote, that this kirtan, this chanting should go on. Instead of meetings, resolutions, dissolutions, revolutions, and no solutions, there should be chanting. That's his Kirtanakya Bhakti that Prabhupada is speaking about. He created the ISKCON, but ISKCON was not his purpose. His purpose was kirtan. His purpose was to sit under the tree, and especially to do Sankirtan, to create other different sadhus, to attract sadhus, because this is the solution. Narottam Das Thakur says, Narottama Bodhoduki Natamode Kodosuki. I'm very, very unhappy. And therefore, in that mood of great unhappiness, I'm coming to you. So that's the great jewel, that kicking of Lord Nityananda, that I'm very, very unhappy. I want to be happy. What does it mean to be happy? And what does it mean not to, it says here, my Lord, but not to also mean someone who nourishes me or takes care of me? How am I going to be happy? Tomara bhajani sankirtana, by doing your bhajan. But it's not just bhajan kirtan, it's bhajan sankirtan, indicating that I'm going to do kirtan with devotees who are very elevated, who are prema-bhaktis, because the word sankirtan means, samyak kirtan means complete kirtan. It means kirtan is done with ecstatic love. But I have this fear, antaraya nahi jai, paramabai, that I'm not good. My material desires, my problems are going to come and they're going to stop me. Nibidana karun anukshana. And therefore, I'm praying constantly. And this is the essence of my Guru Maharaj's teachings, where he repeated to us over and over and over again, seeing how fallen we were, the Western Yavana Malechas, I'm sorry. He saw it, and he would tell us again and again, we have to cry, we have to pray. And in the same talk that we were just showing a little later on in 30 minutes, he sings it, Adakabe Nitai Chan Karana Hoyebi. He says we should learn to pray to Lord Nityananda. But how do we pray to Lord Nityananda? In this way, Narottama Bodhoduki, that I'm always unhappy, so I'm coming to you. And Nivedana Koran Anukshana, I'm constantly praying like this. Samsara Basana Murakabi Tuchahabi. If I pray to Lord Nityananda for mercy, then Lord Nityananda, he'll make the samsara basana, this attachment for material existence, it'll go away, it'll become tuchahabi, very insignificant. Vishaya chariya kabi sudahabi man, kabi hamaherabu Sri Vrindavan. Then when I see that, when I get that mercy of Lord Nityananda, then I see Vishaya chariya, I can give up this bishai, this sense gratification. It's very insignificant. Sudha habiman, my mind will be pure. And then I can do bhajan in Vrindavan. Otherwise, I can't. So Narottam Das Thakur is teaching us in this song about Saranagati, and especially in this last stanza of it. The Saranagati means to own it, to acknowledge my miserable condition and use that and call out to the Lord. This is a touchstone that's been given to the living entities in this world. But we have to have some good brain. And that good brain comes from instructions of Sadhu Guru, that I should do bhajan, and not just bhajan, but kirtan, and not just kirtan, but sankirtan. Kirtan with like-minded devotees, devotees who are going in the direction of prema, or devotees who have that prema. And that will help me in doing that kirtan and calling out for the mercy of Lord Nityananda constantly. So I'm going to drop this link to this talk from my Guru Maharaj in our chat, and we can encourage everybody to hear this. It's really, really astonishing. I'll put it both in our Zoom thing here. Lila Purushottam has some comments. Were these poetic translations available? Yeah, I can also share those. And well, let me just first of all drop in this link, and I'll do the same thing in our WhatsApp group too. Come on. Thank you for sharing. Oh, Lila Purushottam. Well, you shared the song, but this is and we couldn't ever figure out where this was from. It was a recording, it was made. Boy, he's really pouring it on. You can hear it, but we don't know when that was from. And if you remind me again, I can drop in also these transcriptions from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. Jai Gaur, you've written something. Looks like it's a quote from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. Is that what it is? Why don't you go ahead and read that to us?
Okay. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta says, to make us wholly devoted to Krishna's name, Sri Gauranga Dev, the combined form of Sri Radha Govinda, came to this world. But if we disregard his teachings and show no interest in Sri Nam Seva, we will never attain auspiciousness. Sri Nam Sankirtan is the best sadhana. If other sadhanas help us in Krishna Sankirtan, then they deserve to be called sadhana. Otherwise, they are simply impediments to sadhana. Sri Krishna Nam Sankirtan is the emperor of sadhanas. It is the only infallible sadhana capable of bringing us to Siddhi. Sriman Mahaprabhu did not speak of teaching Archana, but in Shikshashtaka he taught Nam Bhajan. Although in Kali Yuga other limbs of bhakti should be performed, they should be accompanied by bhakti denoted by kirtan.
Where is this from?
I got it from Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhav, but the source is cited. I can post that to you also.
Okay, that's a secondary source, but that's a source too. You just speak about sources. Secondary sources are also something. Sometimes it's all that we have. Yes, Bhaktisiddhanta. Bhakti Vikas Maharaj's book is volume 1, part 2, chapter 11. Nice. Well, he's done in that book, he's taken a lot of lectures of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and translated them. Okay, anybody else want to share anything? Do you want to say anything more, Jaikor?
Sure, Prabhu. I really like the katha. I was speaking with a friend. You reminded me of speaking with a friend recently, and he was saying that so many people are always asking me how to get taste for chanting. And he said that there's a secret. First, you have to hear something beautiful about Krishna, and then you'll think of him when you chant. So I was reminded of that. It's an open secret, and I had one other kind of thought or question. I was I was hearing sometimes I hear devotees kind of make a very broad definition of Sankirtan, and it kind of hurts my heart, or maybe I don't understand it properly. I just posted this thing from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, so to me, what he's saying is clearly Sankirtan is a more specific thing, and I'm thinking that perhaps devotees wouldn't get the fruit that they think that they're going to get if they don't prioritize worship of the holy name in their spiritual lives. I was just wondering if you could say something on that.
Yeah, that's Kirtanakya Bhakti, and therefore Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was saying that in the past, many people, they thought this is a solution, that is a solution, and then they're trying so many different things, but it's just all that ends up happening is that they cheat themselves. They turn into mental speculators, and they can't really understand what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was coming for. It's not a surprising thing. I see, especially today, in the world, people are so agitated all over the world. There's wars going on, there's fighting amongst political parties in so many different countries, America included. And it's just such a time of disunion in that. But the real solution is chanting the holy name. And all these other things, they're just distractions. Our mind gets attached to them, and we think that all, the real solution is to drive all the rascals out and expose all the rascals. But you're a rascal. If I'm a rascal myself, then how am I going to expose all the other rascals? It doesn't have any effect. So we have to understand what does really Sankirtan mean. Sankirtan, Jiva Goswami says Samyak Kirtan. It's complete Kirtan. It's complete in many different ways. It's complete because it's being chanted with other people. It's complete because it's being done with love. It's complete because it's being done with people who are following the path of love. It's complete because it's being done with people who have love. It's complete because people who are doing it, who are really doing the Sankirtan, they have this conception that this chanting is everything and nothing else is going to solve my problem. And therefore, Narottam Das Thakur, in the second stanza of the song, I should go ahead and put it. He says that from the beginning of my birth, Java Janma Mor, Aparadi Hoina Bhor, I'm just doing offenses to everybody. Nishkapati na bhajina toma. I've never really done bhajan to you. So what does that mean? Because we're not seeing bhajan as a solution for everything. We're seeing it as a partial solution. Yeah, kirtan is okay. It's true. Everybody should do kirtan, but you're not going to solve the problems unless you, and then fill in the line there, I don't know, unless you collect money, unless you expose all the rascal GBCs, unless you cut all their heads off or whatever terrible thing you want to do. You're not going to solve the problems. And it's because we have so much passion. We're not doing bhajan. We're not really taking shelter of kirtan. So therefore, it's not Sankirtana. It's not Samyak Kirtan. Samyak Kirtan is when I understand that kirtan is everything. And kirtan will solve all the problems. And I have firm conviction about that. And it's not something we can just imitate, like Srivas Thakur would clap our hands 3 times when someone asks us, what kind of work do you do to maintain your wife and family? So, well, I just read the story in Chaitanya Bhagavata about Srivas Thakur. And now, I'm just going to clap my hands 3 times and just depend upon Krishna and do kirtan completely. That's not the meaning of it either, according to our adhikar. And what is our adhikar? Our adhikar is when, just like Prabhupada said, you can teach a parrot to chant Hare Krishna. But when you go to choke the parrot and kill it, sorry, we have some people who want to protect animals, but if you go to kill the parrot, what does the parrot do then? It just says, ah. Right? So similarly, when we're faced with death, the thing that we really take shelter of will come out. We'll reach for a gun. We'll somebody's criticized me, so I should criticize them back. Or we see problems in the temple. So the solution probably is we need to collect more money. If we have more money, we buy more property, we have nicer buildings, and then, or the solution is better schools. We need to have better schools for the children. We need better education, train the devotees. So we have solutions in the mode of ignorance, passion, and goodness. In the mode of ignorance, our solution is violence. And you may be chanting Hare Krishna and telling people you should chant Hare Krishna. But when something goes down, when some heavy thing comes, your solution is to punch someone in the face. Or your solution is to take out a gun, or your solution is to criticize somebody else. That's in the mode of ignorance. You're a devotee, but your bhakti is mixed with ignorance. Or in the mode of passion, you're telling everybody to chant Hare Krishna, but when the problems come, then you think, well, the real solution is we should have more money. We should do more business. Or if you're in the mode of goodness, then you think that education is a solution. And that's a very good thing. But when we take shelter of bhakti, then we see that's the only real solution. That's Sankirtana. That's complete kirtan. When someone sees that the Krishna Bhakti Koili Sarva Karma Krikta Hoy, all that I have to do is Krishna Bhakti. But then when that really comes very, very deep in my heart, and therefore Narottam is instructing us in the second stanza of the song that I'm not really doing that bhajan. And in this last verse that we were going over today, he's saying, I have this fear that antarahi naijai, I'm going to become distracted by some external things. Eta paramabhai, this is my greatest fear. And therefore, the solution I have for this, it's not just that I'm going to tell everybody you should chant Hare Krishna with my lips, but I'm going to cry and cry and cry. As my guru said, I'm going to bang my head and cry out and cry out. As Narendra Maharaj was saying recently in Ukraine, and we have to cry. And if we can't cry, then we cry that we can't cry. We have to be watching our mind and watching our motivation constantly. Is that okay, Jaigor?
Yeah, Prabhu, thank you. One devotee was saying, or one devotee was telling me, another devotee was telling him, Prabhu, all services on the absolute platform, and kind of, in a way, it felt like minimizing the Harinam service. And so he said that to me, and I said, yeah, I think all service is on the absolute platform. But I was thinking about when you speak about Krishna in Vrindavan, Krishna in Mathura, Krishna in Dwarka, he's Purnatama, he's Purnatura. So like that, you know, sometimes practical service is prioritized. And so that was my thought, is that if we take shelter of that exclusively, but without it being backed by the holy name, or at least the conception that somehow what I'm doing is helping our deepening of our relationship with the holy name, then devotees won't get what we're supposed to be getting.
Very good. And therefore, in some ways, I'll say something a little shocking and horrible, that the holy name is not enough. What do you mean the holy name is not enough? There also has to be a conception. And therefore, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said that we don't separate Krishna Nam from Krishna Katha. Should also be some Krishna Katha. This year in Radhastami Festival in New Brajadam, I was mentioning this the other day, it really struck me. They had the most amazing dress, flower dress for Radha Krishna. And they had names of the Astasakis all around Radha Krishna. They had these different gopis and things, and the most amazing kirtans, the most amazing, really, really first class prasadam and things. And then Shivarama sat down to give a katha. And everybody's thinking he's going to talk about Valapkusa Manjali or something like that. And he just spoke about philosophy. He spoke about Krishna. And I really, really appreciated that so much, because things are going so much in another way. It would be different if he had a very, very small, intimate group that he was speaking to. But because there are hundreds of devotees there, and not all of them had the same adhikar, he spoke in a certain way. But that Krishna Katha should be there. It's very, very important. Otherwise, if we just do Krishna Kirtan without Krishna Katha, then what happens, as you know, a lot of times it just becomes music. And instead of sadhus, we look to good musicians. Our sadhus become the good musicians. I'll tell you, you should keep speaking this kind of thing, Jaigor. It's good for you, because if you ever need a place to stay, I think there's a house in Czech where they would feed you and put you up. Do you think that's possible, Lila Purushottam Prabhu?
Perfectly possible.
I knew that's what Lila Purushottam was thinking. Wow.
But Jaigor wouldn't be happy about so little opportunity for daily 5-hour Sankirtan. Have to travel.
You'll drag you out in the road in front of your house, and you'll just sit in front of the house and do kirtan for the 3 or 4 cars that drive by during the day.
Yeah.
We can create opportunities.
Our heavy traffic.
What'll happen, Jaigor, I can see it now, is Lila Purushottam will grab you and drag you around to all the different temples and check to make a revolution. Everybody, the two of you.
Sounds tempting.
We'll get kicked out together.
I already am.
Yeah. If you go with him, you gotta keep a little distance away from him. I'm not with that guy. So.
No, but actually, devotees in Czech, they like Sankirtan. There's quite strong imprint by Indra Prabhu's preaching. So
I was just in room 10. Gorny type who might know that room, or Lokapavani, room 10 in the Budapest temple. And we came in the evening. We arrived at about 9 o'clock at night. And Jayadvaita Maharaj had been there during the day. And so we're opening our bags up and emptying everything out, putting in drawers and that. And there was one drawer that had a stack of papers. And I looked at it, and it was an index to a book. Didn't say what the name of the book was, didn't say who the author was, but looking at this index, I could see what it was showing. It's from Jayadvaita Maharaj's book about Kirtan standards. And it'll make your hair stand on end. It was really, but in his book, he's quoting Bhakti. In the index, I could see he's quoting Bhakti Vikash Maharaj, he's quoting Janananda Maharaj, he's quoting so many different personalities about the importance of Kirtan. So, okay, anybody else want to share anything? Lila Purushottam Prabhu.
I'd like to ask one thing that I wonder about. What is the place of, or the role of this kind of preaching, like everything is bad in this world, and all the sense enjoyment leads to misery, and all this. If I really contemplate it, I come to conviction that I might have been even exposed to it, but it really never had the strength to protect me from my tendencies, from my bad habits, from my anarthas. And on the contrary to that, if I see that I made some like solid steps on my progress, it's always connected with the experience of the higher taste. Like Parandrisvani Vartate, this whole principle that you have to experience something better to be able to really be freed from the lower. And so that's one thing for the sadhaka. One part of the question is like, what's the role of such preaching for the sadhakas? And another level of my question is, what's the role of it in our meeting the public? Like, because I can see that devotees make so much harm with presenting our philosophy in a way like, this is forbidden and you cannot do this and you will go to hell, and it just doesn't work. It's not a preaching strategy, actually. So what's really the place for these descriptions?
So first of all these descriptions are meant to reform ourselves, not to beat everybody else with. It's not that they're meant to just post on Facebook, which I'm thinking about doing. These comments. Not just meant to bash everybody, but it's meant to bash ourselves and bash my conscience, because prachar means to share something. But first of all, we have to have it. So our preaching begins by self-reform. And if we're not doing self-reform in the beginning, then nobody's impressed with that. Tota Gopinath Prabhu drove us today from Budapest to Debrecen. And we had lunch, we had kind of a lunch with him at the restaurant here. He's on his way back to Ukraine. And we were asking some things, how he became a devotee, and he's going to visit his mother. His mother's not a devotee. She's a big Christian, this and that. And he told me, he said, in the beginning, I tried to preach to my mother. And he said, we were walking down the street together, and I was preaching so many things, this and this and this, and she was listening for a while. And finally, I told the Gopinath ran out of things to say. And his mother, she turned to him and she said, it sounds like you're trying to convince yourself. So I really like that, because mothers are very, very intuitive and very wise. And especially in the beginning, when we're so-called preaching, a lot of times we're fanatics because we're trying to convince ourselves. And she can sense that. So the best preaching is by our own behavior. And if we're not able to do it by our own behavior, we're not really doing preaching. We can go out and we can share a book, sell a book, or do this or that. But what can we do? Jai Goy says, if we don't do self-reform, then we won't have anything to give. I love this point. Okay, Mila?
Yeah, maybe it's my stupidity that I don't have that experience, that this type of preaching, warning never really had effect on me, like in a sense that it would make me able to act on it, or to really grasp it, like
what type of preaching? Was someone chastises you?
If someone, because naturally one reads such a thing like you shared with us today, but and I can read through it, I can even contemplate it, but for myself, I have that experience that this theoretical level, being exposed to that type of information, doesn't really protect me from behaving, to act upon my anarthas, upon my bad habits, and only like
you hear about somebody who's just wearing one piece of cloth and they only shave, after Chaturmasya, and they're just doing kirtan constantly in Vrindavan. When you just hear about somebody like that, that changes your life. When you see their example, and maybe they also speak a lot of strong words and whatever, but it's really the example that's needed. It's so very, very important. Yesterday we were with day before yesterday with a Grihastha couple. They were driving us from Ukraine. They're young devotees, and there's so many problems, this and that and the other. And I was trying to tell them that you should be a devotee and take care of your baby, telling your mother, and that's your bhakti. Prabhupada said, your child worship is your deity worship, and for the husband, and because in some of the devotees in that yatra, they think that your husband men are like in Maya. You may have heard that one before, and it's only brahmacharis and sannyasis who are really good. And they said, your service is to take care of your family, and don't have any doubt about that. But you should see that as part of your bhajan. But the problem is we don't have culture where we have heroes and people like Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a householder, Ramananda Roy was a householder, who were there with us. What we have is an institution, because there was no culture in the West, but cultures needed examples and moral principles, et cetera, needed. So there was nothing. So Prabhupada jump-started that artificially, in a sense, by making the temples, and that's all that we know. But within that, also so much institutional baggage that you really advance if you're a temple president or whatever, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Or I can relate to the role model example that you made, like that you can really see it somewhere in some devotee, and you get a lot of strength and inspiration in following the devotee, definitely. And also what's my experience is really the like in a sense, like I create the example. If you will tell me based on today's katha that give up all the sense enjoyment because it just leads to suffering, and engage in the Nam Sankirtan, then it will not be that first sentence that will convince me. Rather, it will be that I will somehow or other end up engaged in Nam Sankirtan, and probably that experience, that positive experience of being in the Kirtan, will have the power to convince me that compared to the all sense enjoyment, this is something much more relishable, much more livable. like that's what I try to say. That's why I was like contemplating or thinking, where's really the place of such a way of presenting Krishna consciousness? Because as an outreach, it just doesn't work. Like I faced it so many times. You just tell people, oh, it's just suffering in this material world, and just look at you and, are you crazy? I'm doing quite good. and then connecting it with my personal stupidity, let's call it like that it just doesn't work for me, that I get some negative information and I will act upon it. It just, but I perfectly.
At the same time, too, if we're speaking these things, I'm sorry to bang my drum a little bit. When we were speaking to this Grihastha couple, I was telling them how you should not see others' faults, but encourage them in things. And they listened, and then they told me, I said, we've heard all this before. I said, but when you speak, it is different. Because I see you're doing it, and it's coming from the heart. So it's not just that we should say these things, we should repeat these things, but they should be something realized.
Yeah, that's also part of the thing. Yeah, that's true.
And when it's something realized, then people can appreciate that, because the world does suck. excuse my bad language, but it's just really, really bad. It's Krishna says in the Bhagavatam to Uddhava, what is it? I can't remember that verse. He says that someone develops attachment. What is that verse? You must know this one, Prabhupada. They've awakened some faith in hearing my katha. What is it, Krishna called? Jeta Shradam Katasu. Should. What is it, 11? Really good verse, really important verse, 20, 28.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, Jeta Shradam Katasu. Krishna is brilliant. So this is, we have this attachment. We can't give it up. But we have some faith. And so we should repeat these things, but we should also understand that it's not going to work the way it worked for Srila Prabhupada. I gave this couple an example. I said that here's a story that you have a Grihastha couple with some children, and they have to go away for a couple of days. So they ask their neighbor, who's an 18-year-old boy, if he'll take care of the children. And so he says, yes, no problem. And so what does he do? First thing he does is the baby starts crying, so he pulls his shirt down and offers his breast to the baby to drink. But he's got no milk. He's just imitating what he saw that woman do. And then when the baby's not eating anything and he becomes annoyed, maybe he might slap the baby. Yeah, look, this is what you're supposed to do. Chastises the baby. The parents come back after a couple of days. The baby's barely alive. He's black and blue with bruises. So that's our so-called preaching sometimes. We saw a sadhu who had milk, who could give milk, and we try to imitate that, but our breast is dry. So we have to know where to get the milk. We go to the store and we get the milk. We get the milk. We ask some woman who's lactating or something to give me a bottle of milk. We take the proper milk, but if we think I'm the source of the milk and we try to imitate what the sadhu is doing, we repeat. So I repeat from Shastra what my grandmother said, that you should repeat according to your realization. But the problem is, so much of the time we want to cheat. We want to act like my gurus and chastise people, slap them and shout at them and things. And I have a few godbrothers who like that, and some people really like it. But if they're not on that platform, and sometimes I have a doubt, then it doesn't work the same.
Yeah, it's important thing. Yeah. Thank you very much.
You had something else?
No, thank you. I took a lot of time. Let's other devotees also.
Manish, do you want to share anything? I see your hands up. I think you're muted, Prabhu. I can't hear you. Still can't hear you.
Seems it doesn't work. Yeah, he's unmuted, but
try to shout really loud. Maybe we'll hear you all the way over here.
Now it's muted. Now it's muted.
Maybe I've
unmuted. No,
I can't hear you.
It doesn't work.
Vikram Keshav, they just arrived in Mayapur. Wow, that's really ecstatic. Naranjan Maharaj is going to arrive in Mayapur in a few days. He's on his way to Vrindavan to some meetings, nectar, some meetings in Pune, and then he'll go back to Mayapur. Okay, well, he looks like he just logged off, and maybe he's going to log in again. Krishna Balaram is here too. How are you going? Anybody else want to share anything? Lokapavani. You got to be careful with Lokapavani. You know, she's a lawyer. Lawyers are dangerous people.
No, I haven't been practicing for 10 years, so I'm a retired lawyer.
Your teeth are not so sharp then.
No, So I actually just wanted to appreciate today's katha. It was very nice for me because I've been struggling lately with some things. And as you said, like when we hear such instructions and such poems and explanations and commentaries, it's for our self-reflection. So in that sense, this katha helped me a lot. And I really liked the notion of Sharanagati in the sense that we accept whatever it is that we get, whether it's according to our karma, or usually it is, but also it's mercy of Krishna. And then with this acceptance of it, we cry, and then we seek shelter. That's one thing that I wanted to share. And the other is that I've been doing pujari services for, I think, a year now. Yes, a year. And it's also a lot because you have to wake up early in the morning and then do a lot of stuff, and it's very actually satisfying, but sometimes you forget to chant. And then what happens is that that's my experience now, some kind of dryness you have inside, because it's like, and I mean, it's satisfying, but also in a way it's an external activity that you perform. So if you don't chant properly, then something will happen. So definitely it's true that you need to call out the name of the Lord and practice, of course, all these activities of devotional service. And also, as you said, that it has to be accompanied with Krishna Katha, so that we can actually understand why we are chanting, and that we have this inspiration also in which way to address Krishna. And the third thing that I wanted to share is that I find the most pleasing kirtans with other devotees when we serve with each other. So that's very, very fulfilling, because then even if you for example, when there is a festival, so then everything is there, like the activity of serving Krishna in whatever how you say, whatever capacity you serve him, and then you have the chanting of the holy name, because there is always kirtan and there is always Krishna Katha. So this is where I have experienced to the fullest, like this connection with various devotees, whether they are more advanced, whether they are just beginners, but just because we did something together, and then everything has a meaning and everything has a feeling then, and then I would say it's complete. But I hope that one day it will be complete in some other ways, but this is my experience from now.
Hey, by the way, do you know who visited Zurich today?
No.
Just a few hours. His name was Niranjan Swami.
No, I don't know. Who? Oh, yeah. He, yeah, no.
Yeah, they had a layover in the
Yeah.
airport. I asked him if he was going to go to the temple, and he said no.
Yeah.
What you were saying, Fakir Mahaprabhu gave us such beautiful talks about the holy name for years. And one thing that he said about deity worship really struck me. He said deity worship is all connected with the holy name. It's Kirtanakya Bhakti. He said, how did you get the strength to do deity worship? Because you were chanting. By chanting the holy name, then Krishna, you're praying for Krishna for service, then Krishna, the holy name manifests a form of your desire to serve, and that's the deity. And then he says, when you're doing the deity service, what are you doing? I remember when I was a head pujari in Seattle, Washington, we had one devotee from West Bengal. He used to do service for Lord Jagannath. He's also going to school. And he was studying mathematics or something. And while he was dressing Jagannath, he'd be reciting mathematical tables and mundane things from school. Yeah. And I really, you don't do that. While we're doing deity worship, what are we doing? We should be chanting the holy name, because I have no qualification to be with Jagannath or Krishna, so I'm chanting. And then what is the fruit that we want from our deity worship? We want better chanting. So it's a chanting that gives us deity worship. It's a chanting which maintains the deity worship, and it's a chanting which is a goal of the deity worship. That's Kirtanakya Bhakti. And if we see that deity worship and that connection, then it's beautiful. It's something which is going to help me to chant. I like, so this first service my Guru Maharaj gave me, dressing Jagannath, when I came to Bhubaneswar years ago. Anyway, thank you very much for that reflection. We hope to see you in Budapest sometime. Actually, we hope to see you in India. I would prefer that.
Yes, yes. But I will continue to come to your Zoom.
I'm going to continue to come to Budapest too, it looks like.
Yes.
So Manish, are you working now?
Is this better?
Yeah, we got it. We hear you beautiful.
Perfect. Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you for the katha. It's really sweet, and I think it took me back to a conversation I had with some devotees here at the temple about kirtan, and I think the particular part is when Narottam Das Thakur is saying, "You give me happiness," kind of quite directive to Krishna, that you give me that happiness. And I was thinking back to the conversation where we were talking about, some kirtaniers were saying that, the kirtan feels very flat recently, it feels very dry. Some people are saying, well, you should beg Krishna to make your kirtan better. Some people are saying, well, if you're leading kirtan, you shouldn't really be begging him to make it good or bad. You should just surrender and say, whether you make me happy or you make me sad, or whether you make it a good kirtan or a bad kirtan. And so I wanted you to kind of maybe expand on that piece about Narottam Das's kind of directional perspective of, you give me that happiness, rather than whatever you choose to give me, I accept. Because it sounds like there's something deeper behind that.
Yeah, what I see in that is that Narottam is indicating, first of all, in previous parts of the song, I don't know what's good, I don't know what's bad. He was saying that Nahi Jani Nija Hit, I don't know what's good, I don't know what's good or bad for me. So that this is included in this last stanza of the song. All the previous things that he was saying are also included in this.
Sure.
I don't know what's good and what's bad, so I want you to make me happy, but you know what really makes me happy. And what is it that makes me happy? Then he identifies it. Tomara, bhajana Sankirtana. It's your bhajan, doing your bhajan. But that indicates it's not my bhajan, meaning that I'm not doing bhajan of my name, I'm doing bhajan of your name. But also meaning the whole activity of bhajan is given by Chaitanya, belongs to you, or belongs to Radharani. The whole activity of it, and it's the name itself. And if I chant like that with the devotees in Samyak Kirtan, and as we were mentioning, Samyak Kirtan means that it's complete Kirtan. We can do Kirtan with people like Jai Gaur is doing. They go downtown and they do Kirtan. You can see on YouTube, and it's fantastic what they're doing. It's so beautiful. But a lot of the people, they have no clue what they're doing. They think sometimes they're doing something for peace. Sometimes they think they're Buddhist monks or something. They don't understand the meaning of the mantra or anything. It's just like some music, and they get some of the spirit. They start jumping up and down and dancing like this and spinning around and whatever, and that's very good, and we like that. Even sometimes they start chanting, and they have some happiness in that. But as I mentioned, if there's no conception, then what ends up happening is we glorify, the sadhu is a good musician. Because so we have to have Krishna Katha with it. That's Samyak Kirtan. That's Sankirtana. If we're just doing Kirtan and there's no Krishna Katha, Prabhupada always had Krishna Katha with Kirtan. We were just at the Gorni Thai festival in Ukraine, and Trivikram Maharaj is there, and he's so sweet. He's 82 years old, and he dances all the kirtans, goes all the programs, and he's just like a little kid. He's so sweet. So, but he's a little bit of a heavy person. And we were taking prasadam every day. The Swamis, I was very fortunate. And Maharaj one day at the table, he was complaining. He said, "I have a complaint." What was it? He said the devotee was leading the Mangal Arati. He forgot to chant Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya. And then this other devotee spoke up. He said, Maharaj, actually, he didn't only forget to chant that. He didn't chant Prabhupada's pranam mantra either. I said, really? Oh, I didn't even notice that. And then Naranjan Maharaj spoke up. And Naranjan Maharaj said, I think it was because he was nervous of you, Maharaj. And somebody else said, yes. Trivikram Maharaj is this old, it seems like a cranky old man. He called himself that. So I'm saying, seems like this old cranky kind of person. So we become a little fearful of him. So then he was making a few complaints like that. And then Achyuta Priya Prabhu spoke up and he said, well, Maharaj, there was a complaint about you also. And Trivikram Maharaj said, oh, what was it? And he said, well, the first night when there was kirtan, you started giving a Bhagavad Gita class. And then Radha Govinda Prabhu, who was scheduled to do kirtan, couldn't do kirtan because you were singing. Radha Govinda Prabhu was there. He said, no, that's fine. I take it as your mercy. It was really wonderful, the class. And Trivikram Maharaj, and he says, well, Prabhupada said that we should always have Bhagavad Gita class in the evening. And it's important to have classes. And I've been quiet. And then I kind of pointed, I said, Maharaj, there's 9 classes a day. The festival. There's lots of Krishna Katha. And Naranjan Maharaj took that up. He said, yes. And so in the evening we have kirtan. But that, I'm just telling you a little story. It reminded me, Trivikram Maharaj is correct. That was Prabhupada's formula. He would do kirtan, and then there would be Bhagavad Gita, and then there would be kirtan again. And that did something, and we should think deeply about it. It's not just a good way to present Krishna consciousness to preach to people, but as we sometimes sarcastically say, it opens your chakra. We do the first kirtan. It expands our consciousness, and then we have some Krishna Katha, and it fills that void. And then we do kirtan again, and then there's some real happiness because that kirtan, we had some Katha with it. We did some program Lila Purushottam's house, remember? And we turned off all the lights. We just had some candles, and we did kirtan, and then we read from some totally illegal, bogus books. Probably get us kicked out of ISKCON if they knew about it. And some story about Gora Lila and Krishna Lila, and then we did kirtan, and it's so nice. You didn't report me, did you?
No, that was the highlight for years.
Because he's an illegal person, we can do that. All right. Is that helpful though, Manish Prabhu?
Yeah, I think so, and I think it definitely highlights, especially at the beginning when you said it's kind of your own bhajan almost. That's a reflection of it's not Narottam realized it's actually Mahaprabhu himself who gave that bhajan. So it's not his bhajan. It's not necessarily my offering per se, in the sense that Krishna, you make it good, or the idea that I want to be a good kirtaniya because Krishna is going to make it good, or he's going to empower me to lead a really good kirtan. It's more, Krishna, you've given me this opportunity to sing for you, and just always remembering Krishna as opposed to even bringing the dint of me and I into it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, just like in the Bhagavatam, I think it's Pritam Maharaj. He says that just as a father knows what's best for his son, so in the same way, you know what's best for me. You please give me this thing or that thing. So in the same way, he says, this is all I know. This is my realization. I have a great realization. I'm just completely miserable, screwed. That's the only thing that I know. But therefore, I'm taking shelter of you. You know what will make me happy. You're my nata mori korosuke. So you should. So he's leaving it up to him. You know what will make me happy. You please give me that thing. But I think it's so important in our kirtan that there's some conception. And I see Prabhu is doing that more when he does his bhajans. He'll in the beginning he'll speak something a little bit. There should be some substance. Otherwise, it's nice, and still people get some benefit. We shouldn't. Sometimes if we're doing kirtan for the public, like in Paris when Prabhupada did kirtan for some students there, they just started shouting to speak. So Prabhupada told the devotees, we just do kirtan and don't speak. because they can't digest the philosophy. But that's unfortunate, because what will their conception be? And they're not going to get as much benefit.
Mm.
So it depends on who we're speaking to. And then again, if we're speaking to somebody that they're willing to listen to us because they're a real radical person against the government of the United States, and they like us because we're radicals, but they're a butcher or something, a cattle rancher or something, that kind of radical, they can hear some things, but there's other things they can't really hear and digest. And we can't speak about how Krishna is Gopal, he takes care of the cows and this and that, because they can't digest it. So it's also the art of understanding who we're speaking to. And kirtan is such an art too. Who are we doing kirtan for? Ishwari Prema, let me read her thing here. I heard opinions that we should sing just melodies we know from the Mahajans, authoritative melodies, but not created by ourselves, or melodies for kirtans I heard in my mind. I want to sing. What to do? What's your opinion? Well, kirtan for me, there's kirtan in the temple, and there's kirtan in Lila Purushottam. There's kirtan when I'm with some intimate friends, and it's kirtan when I'm with the institution. And because it's not just an institution, it's a community, which is worked very hard on by some devotee to create some consensus amongst devotees. And they have rules, they have standards. So out of respect to them, I follow that standard when I'm in their temple. But then when I'm at home, I may sing ragas, I may sing melodies from my Guru Maharaj. I like melodies from my Guru Maharaj. It reminds me of him. And the benefit of singing melodies that we know from some authorities is not just that the melody's bona fide because Prabhupada sang it, but what becomes wonderful is we remember Prabhupada. We sing that. And there was a discussion again with all the swamis recently in Ukraine, and Chivika Maharaj was complaining that when we sing the Panchatattva mantra, we break up the word. Oh, Jai Advaita Maharaj sings. Break up the word Gudadhar, and instead we sing Gudadhar. Gudadhar is Shiva Sati. What used to be Prabhupada was sing Gudadhar, and he would break it up after that. Because actually that mantra, technically speaking, the Panchatattva mantra, the number of syllables is not correct for a general Sanskrit shloka. And so where you do the break, it depends. And Prabhupada did it in that way in the old days. And everybody was in ecstasy. And the engineers were saying, yes, I remember this. And Trivika Maharaj was saying also. And so anyway, like that. Yeah, Jaigor is pointing something out. If you hear the Prabhupada memories of Uttama Shloka, who told Uttama Shloka, any tune is all right. And that's a fact. But at the same time, also, we know Prabhupada sometimes told him to stop the kirtan and told him to sing the morning melody, especially for Mangalartik. And Prabhupada did like certain ragas. And we can look at another famous example, probably definitely the most famous kirtaniya in our society is Ayendra Prabhu. One of my friends asked him once, where do you get your melodies from? And he looked a little kind of cheeky. And he confessed that a lot of them were from movies, Bollywood movies, that he stole the melodies from. They weren't exactly ragas. Sometimes they were ragas. And Mukunda Dutt, who's really expert with ragas and things, once complaining, I used to get upset. Why is he singing this morning raga in the evening, or this or that? But then, of course, also in the same way with shalagram worship, in the Puranas, there's a long description. You shouldn't worship a shalagram that's chipped or broken, or it's the wrong color. It has to be right. If you do, you'll get the wrong benefit. But then it concludes by saying, but if you're worshiping a shalagram bhakti, then it doesn't matter. The shalagram may be broken, it may be the wrong color, it may be whatever. And so I feel the same thing applies for ragas and for melodies too. That if we're doing it for bhakti, maybe it inspires us this particular melody, or we think it'll be beneficial for the people who we're singing it for right now. In South America, they have this Mexican hat dance, and sometimes the devotees, they sing Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. They sing this Mexican hat song melody, and the people down there go crazy over it. Or sometimes I've seen devotees sing to the tune of I once was lost, but now I'm found. Hare Krishna, Hare, which is a Christian melody. but it may strike the heart of some people. Why not?
Mm.
Same time for our official kirtans and things, they have rules, so we follow that. Unless you go to Leela Purushottam's house, highly recommend it.
To make a trip one day. No, thank you, Prabhu. That's really sweet.
Maybe they'll feed you there too. Also.
I was just before I go, I was going to say one thing. I remember someone once sent me a video, and I've got it on my hard drive here, of Anjavan from 1993. And he actually picked up a cracked Shalagram Shila and he showed it on camera. And he said, some people say, to your point, you shouldn't worship the Shalagram because it's got a crack and it's imperfect. But if I can't accept Krishna's imperfectly perfect form, how can I expect him to look past all of my faults and look, give me a merciful glance? So it was just so sweet that, the same concept also applies to the rags and everything that you're talking about. It's really sweet. Thank you.
That's a really beautiful example. Thank you very much for sharing that. Anybody else want to share anything? It's getting a little late. We've had a long couple of days. Okay, so thank you for the nice comment, Ishwari Prema, and everybody else on here today. So otherwise, we'll go ahead and we'll stop. I think some of us will be seeing each other tomorrow. It's another program we'll be doing. That's another thing we'll discuss later privately. Okay, thank you all very much. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srimad Narottam Das Thakur ki jai, Prema-bhakti-candrika ki jai, Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Vanchakalpatarubhishcha, Kripa Sindhu